Hey, Truth Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. The powers that be who hoax us with the mainstream media are getting really carried away with their train theme. And in this post, what I want to show is how the staged Philadelphia train wreck corresponds with this train wreck and how both seem to directly connect to Pope Francis's upcoming visit this September. Let's begin by watching the mainstream coverage, and then we will take it apart piece by piece. The volume up here, here we go.
And his thumb, we're told, almost severed. There was a big cheer as their motorcade drove them out of the police station here. They've been here all day helping the police with their investigation. Spencer Stone getting surgery to his hand. His thumb, we're told, almost severed. He led the charge to bring down that attacker. They successfully brought him to the ground. Injuries sustained along the way. This is how the British...
Isn't it strange how we don't get to hear from the hero, but we get to hear from this news reporter? Signs of the hoax.
A passenger on the train paid tribute to these three young Americans.
What I would like to do first of all is to say thank you to Alexander Skelatos and Spencer Stone, without whom I think we probably wouldn't be here to speak to you today.
The investigation here getting more information about the attacker, a 26-year-old Moroccan. He'd been under the...
A 26-year-old Moroccan. The word train has Pythagorean gematria of 26. Of course, 26 is the God number. Here we go.
Eyes of counterterrorism officials here in France, in Spain, also in Belgium to the north. We now know he got on the train with his weapons in Belgium. It stopped there on the way from Amsterdam to Paris. We understand from the Belgian authorities they believe this young 26-year-old Moroccan has ties and connections to hardline Islamist groups that they're already investigating. And now we understand from European counterterrorism officials that they believe this Moroccan had gone from Europe to Turkey. They don't know if he managed to get into Syria to make contact with ISIS. That, of course, their concern. The French authorities holding this young Moroccan at security headquarters in Paris. They have 96 hours for which they can hold him and continue the investigation. But
96 hours. Don't let these numbers slip past you. Freemason equals 96, Satanism equals 96, knowledge equals 96. This is one of the numbers they like to quote a lot, and CNN is a highly Masonic network, as I have revealed several times.
the three young Americans, Anthony Sadler, Alex Giliatos, and Spencer Stone, now heroes in this country, and we saw it ourselves here on the streets, right outside this police station. Nick Robertson, CNN, Arras, France.
All right, Truth Seeker. So that was the mainstream reporting. Here's what I want to show you. Earlier this year on May 12th, we had this staged Philadelphia train wreck that was full of all this coding that has helped us predict a lot of the stories that have happened since. Notice that May 12th, the date of the Philadelphia train wreck, was the 132nd day of the year, leaving 233 days remaining. August 21st is the reflection of this date. It's the 233rd day, leaving 132 days remaining. And it gets better. The train wreck in Philadelphia and the Friday, August 21st train incident in Belgium were exactly 101 days apart, or 3 months and 9 days. Philadelphia has gematria of 101. And Philadelphia is of much focus because a lot of the coding in the Philadelphia train crash was coding from Revelation. And of course, Philadelphia comes from Revelation in the Bible. Philadelphia is one of 7 churches mentioned in Revelation of the Bible. Also, in a lot of these hoaxes, they take place in 33 locations. This one took place in Belgium, one of the 33 nations in Europe. In CNN's reporting, they said AK-47. I noticed in other mainstream reporting, such as NBC, they say it's a Kalashnikov. What I find interesting is that it happened on this train called a Thalys train, which has gematria of 85. And as I've been noting for weeks, a lot of stories with 58 and 85 coding are occurring. And it makes me think it's a type of indexing. Because if you followed my video blog for the year I've been on here, I've talked about how the media for periods of time will start coding a number heavily and then it will just disappear. Right now, those numbers are 58 and 85. And it makes me think maybe we're in the 58-85 portion of their playbook or something to that effect. Because it's just fascinating how it's showing up in almost every hoax right now. In the reporting, they said the terrorist had box cutter knife, which reminds us of September 11th, of course. All of these terror hoaxes are to reinforce the terror lesson we were supposed to receive on September 11th in one of the most well-orchestrated hoaxes of all time. Within CNN's reporting, they like to stick certain numbers in here. We see 115 show up a lot. Freemasons in plural sums to 115. The singular 96, that number they mentioned, the plural 115, I assert is a network of Freemasons waging these hoaxes against us on an international scale. Down here we find some more curious reporting. Thalys is the high-speed red train which travels from Paris to Brussels in 1 hour 22 minutes. And why that's interesting is because this 122 coding was all over Philadelphia. The phrase train wreck itself has gematria of 122. And then they have to stick it right here in this reporting. And again, this seems very much connected to the Philadelphia train wreck. All the train wreck reporting internationally this year has been connected. There was a train wreck in South Africa recently, and supposedly 239 people were hurt. Just like the Philadelphia train wreck happened at 9:23 p.m. Both 239 references the date September 23rd when the day is written first, and 9:23 is like September 23rd with the month written first. South Africa train wreck, Philadelphia train wreck. All these train stories, all part of a hoax being waged against us. And with regards to the 33 location of Belgium, Belgium has that gematria of 33 Pythagorean. This train wreck occurs 33 days before September 23rd, the date of focus we were just talking about. 9:23, it comes 33 days before. One of the headlines earlier said, "Give me back my gun." Train attacker pleads with Americans. That phrase has a gematria of 68. 68. An interesting number. C68 coded a lot in death hoaxes. It's interesting that it's found here. What it makes me think of, Truth Seeker, with regards to talking about trains, guns, and September 23rd, Congress did this bill, H.R. 923, that's been introduced, that's about who does not have the right to have a gun in this country. That's been proposed. It's interesting that it lines up with that date, September 23rd. New federal laws for who cannot have a gun. That's not a gun grab, but that's starting to define ways that less people can have guns, which arguably could be a good thing. But usually when the federal government gets involved, it's not. The three heroes are said to be here. They're all pictured down here in this one, Truth Seeker. These are said to be the three heroes. Let's go through their names real quick. Anthony Sadler, which has Pythagorean gematria of 66, one of those multiples of 11, a number that gets coded heavily. His name in simple English gematria is 156, one of the God numbers. Remember, 26, 33, 74, 156, 61. These are the set of numbers all connected to God that routinely get coded in these hoaxes because these numbers are very important to the Freemasons who wage these orchestrated events against us and code them by the numbers, which I continue to reveal. And anyone who thinks this is a coincidence, I invite you to go back and watch 5 of my videos, think about it, and then ask yourself if what I'm presenting is coincidence. Alex Scarlatos, name gematria connection to 37 and 55, another one of those multiples of 11. And then also the name Spencer Stone, which has gematria of 153, like the miracle catch of fish in the Bible. Another one of these numbers they have a fondness for. They say that one of the military kids is from the 33rd state, Oregon, and they say the other one is from the Air Force, which was established in 47 by the 33rd President Truman, at the same time the CIA and NSA were created. And check this out, Truth Seeker, for one more 33. Look at all these guys' names: Alec Scarlatos, Spencer Stone, Anthony Sadler. What stands out to me are their initials: AS, SS, AS. The three letters that break down to 1 in Pythagorean gematria are A, J, and S. So AS is 1 1, SS is 1 1, AS is 1 1. Kind of like 11. 11 plus 11 plus 11 is 33. Over and over, Truth Seeker, the names are the giveaways. I theorize the reason this is so is because none of these people really have this name. This is their agent names for this hoax they're participating in. You see what they're doing, Truth Seeker? Look at this. On the same day that we got that story, this story was put out in U.S. media. Amtrak adding train cars for Pope Francis' U.S. visit. And remember, it was an Amtrak crash in Philadelphia earlier this year. Amtrak. Look at the date of the photo they give us for their mainstream reporting. March 11th, 311 or 113, numbers often coded into mainstream hoaxes. The mainstream media, once you're awake to these numbers, is just relentless what you'll see. Let's read what they have here. Friday, August 21st, 2015. Philadelphia. Amtrak says it's adding trains and cars to help travelers get around during Pope Francis's U.S. visit next month. He will be here from September 22nd. He'll leave the 27th. The rail carrier says Friday it'll add 34 extra trains for Francis's September 26th to 27th Philadelphia stop and lengthen regularly scheduled trains while Francis is in New York and Washington. 34, Truth Seeker, is the 9th Fibonacci number. I bring that up because Pope Francis is visiting in the 9th month, one that's proven to be fateful for the nation in recent history. September 11th, Katrina. Some of the extra trains will use equipment borrowed from regional commuter rail lines. Reservations are required for ASLA, Northeast Regional, and Keystone service trains September 25th to 28th. The 28th is the date of the fourth and final blood moon. Amtrak could be vital to Philadelphia-bound travelers. About 25 miles of highway and downtown streets will be closed, and the region's commuter rail has a cap of 175,000 daily riders. Amtrak says there won't be taxis or rental cars at Philadelphia's 30th Street station during the visit, and only outside bathrooms will be open. This story has been reviewed to show Amtrak has corrected its total for trains to 34 instead of 12. So they originally reported 12, bumped it up 22 more. So that's the reporting. Now let me show you what's so interesting about Pope Francis and trains with all of these stories being coded foreshadowing his visit from Philadelphia to this. Here's a picture of Pope Francis 2008 before he was Pope Francis. Notice the picture's taken on a train subway car, it looks like. And he is doing a Masonic pose, no doubt. Pope Francis is openly the first Jesuit pope, which we will get to. Here's some familiar characters from history doing the same Masonic pose, highly Masonic men. Look at this, though. With regards to Pope Francis and trains, his real name is Bergoglio. Jorge Mario Bergoglio. Pope Francis' real name, which has Jewish gematria of 230, just like the word train. Here I am asserting for more than a year through all this work that these madmen orchestrate everything by the numbers, choosing people by their name, life numbers. I don't know how people deny these examples. The phrase train wreck, Truth Seeker, has gematria of 122. Remember how we were talking about how they coded that into the story with the time reporting? Just like the name Pope Francis, 122. And recall LeBron James was in the movie Trainwreck. Look at LeBron James's name in Jewish Gematria, Truth Seeker. 9/23, a lot like September 23rd. There was that recent theater shooting in Louisiana, and the theater, the person who shot up the theater, they had 239 name gematria. Let me pull this up. If you've never used my blog before, Truth Seeker, it's freetofindtruth.blogspot.com. I do a lot of reporting here, a lot more than the video blog. I try to keep up with all the mainstream posts, and then I just try to do the best, or what I think you'll think is most interesting. I turn that information into videos. Bear with me, Truth Seeker. Oh, shoot. Uh-oh. I have too many posts, Truth Seeker. That is the truth. Hold on. Was his name Hauser? This was his name, John Russell Hauser. Okay, so John Russell Hauser supposedly shoots up the Trainwreck premiere. John Russell Hauser in Simple English Gematria, Truth Seeker, sums to 239. And even within that, his name, they used a name that has 106 Gematria. Recall that the Philadelphia train was traveling 106 miles per hour when it derailed, supposedly. So just so much coding. So much coding in all this. And he shot up the movie Trainwreck, where LeBron James was one of the stars in the movie, having the name gematria that also connects to September 23rd. Now get this, Truth Seeker. The word Pope has 52 gematria, and 239 is the 52nd prime number. Again, it's September 23rd that's so much in focus. This September 23rd is the 266th day of the year. Pope Francis is the 266th Pope. It's also the first day of Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement. 52 years ago, from 2015, was the year 1963, and in that year, there was a Pennsylvania train crash, just like the Philadelphia train wreck of this year. There was a Southern Black Church bombing, just like the Southern Black Church shooting of this year, that was also very much connected to the date September 23rd. And there was a presidential assassination that year. The 44th term president, John F. Kennedy, was murdered on the first day of Sagittarius. 44th term president, Obama's the 44th president. If Obama dies in office, he will be the 9th president to die in office. The first president to die in office was number 9, William Henry Harrison, first Whig. He died on 4/4, April 4th, just like Martin Luther King Jr. Things to think about. All this coding, doing things by the numbers, how they line up. Again, Pope Francis is the first Jesuit pope. He has some interesting name gematria himself. But what I want to show you is how he is admittedly the first Jesuit pope. And he is born December 17th, 1936. The date he's born on has a life number of 84. The word Jesuit has gematria of 84. United States of America has Pythagorean gematria of 84. And with regards to being the first Jesuit pope, he leaves the country on September 27th this year. This is the date the Jesuits will turn 475 years old. He leaves on the Jesuit order's birthday. The day that follows is the fourth and final blood moon, September 28th. See how it all comes together, Truth Seeker? The date of the Philadelphia train wreck, not only did it happen at 9:23 p.m., it happened on a date with 52 numerology, that number corresponding with the gematria of Pope. Check out this one, Truth Seeker. Donald Trump recently, here's a headline from him. I'm going to have to scare the Pope, he says. I'm going to have to scare the Pope has gematria of 122, just like Pope Francis, just like Trainwreck. Right now, this nation is embarrassing itself. And this 239 number, Truth Seeker, it turns out it runs deep in this nation. The American flag, established on a 33 date in history, June 14th, 1777, it was created at Betsy Ross House, supposedly. Look at the address on Betsy Ross House. 239 Arch Street, Truth Seeker. Turns out this number's been with the nation since the beginning, and the reason I assert that that is so is when I first started this work, I did not have the numerological understanding that I have now, but I saw enough connections to assert that it was Zionist Masons who established this nation and did things by these spiritually related numbers. Now I understand things such as Torah has gematria of 239, and of course, the Torah is important to the Jewish faith, which is very important to the Zionist faith, because the Zionists are the false Jews, masquerading as Jews as described in Revelation. Johannesburg this year, just not long ago, July 18th, 239 injured in train crash, Truth Seeker, just in case you missed it and doubted me. If you're not familiar with the Baha'i faith, it is founded by the prophet Baha'u'llah, who said he was the, latest prophet since Muhammad. His son once came to the United States in the early 1900s at the beginning of World War I, and he traveled the United States for 239 days from April 11th to December 6th. And what's interesting about that is the Baha'i faith in the United States has their grandest temple in Chicago, and as a religion, they are based out of Haifa, Israel, the same place Zionism is based out of. And it seems that the heaviest Zionist influence also comes out of Chicago. So, I just bring this up to show you how these numbers carry through, are being coded routinely. Another headline recently, 239 boat passengers evacuated in Greece. What's interesting about Greece is it has gematria of 43 and 105 using the multiple methods. And those numbers make me think of Abraham Lincoln, who was born on the 43rd day and died on the 105th, and he was a central figure in the Civil War. Charleston, where the Civil War began, has gematria of 43, just like the phrase Civil War. We live in this world that is ran by an international gang, and it seems that world history, when looked at through this numerology angle, you can really see how it all syncs up and is waged. Anyway, Truth Seeker, I'm just ranting here, just showing you some more stuff all for September 23rd and just how this stuff's been coded into planes, trains, boats. Recall the missing Malaysian plane MH370 from March 8th, 2014 had 239 passengers. It's just becoming really redundant, Truth Seeker. All this coding, how all these stories synchronize. You know why these people sell us out? For money and the power that comes from money. Something to think about. If we ever want to move on to a better world, I think it's going to have to be a money-free world, because money is just too tempting for people. People selling us out left and right, and I guarantee you almost every single one of them is doing it for money. So shame on these three. 11, 11, 11. All right, Truth Seeker, until next time. Truth Seeker, just in case you haven't seen it, this is Pope Francis's schedule. He arrives September 22nd, the eve that Yom Kippur begins. Yom Kippur goes from the eve of September 22nd through the eve of September 23rd. On September 23rd, he goes to the White House to meet with President Obama, this date of much focus. September 24th, spends the day in D.C. Washington, D.C. has that gematria of 137, the 33rd prime number. Little fast fact there. Then on Friday, he travels to New York. Remember, the train bound that crashed in Philadelphia was bound for New York on May 12th. Notice at 113, he'll be at a multi-religious service at 9/11 Memorial and Museum. It's so bad, Truth Seeker. So bad how they code those numbers. Friday, Pope Francis travels to Philadelphia. This is a Friday, a fateful day for presidents in history. And then he leaves on September 27th, the Jesuit order's birthday. And again, Pope Francis is the first Jesuit pope. September 28th will be the fourth blood moon. So that's the schedule. We'll see what happens in that span of days. All right, Truth Seeker, until next time.